Good morning. My name is Maria Griego Raby, and I am privileged to be here today. And I want to thank Lisa and Kara for putting together a very comprehensive, inclusive, wonderful agenda today. I was a small business owner for almost 40 years. I know that seems like a long time. Some days it feels like a long time. My name of my company is Contract Associates, and we were located here in Albuquerque. Also had locations over the years in Santa Fe and Los Alamos. We were one of our most very important customers and areas that we covered was in Arizona, the Navajo Nation. We also expanded to Mexico and to El Paso, Texas. I am, like Zachariah mentioned earlier, he was very proud to be associated with UNM Rainforest Innovations, and I too am very proud to be associated as a member of the board. I also am extremely proud to be a Lobo. So with that, we have a very, as all of the members that are on panels today and speakers, all very impressive. And this group is, of course, also very impressive. So we're fortunate to have individuals here today. And I want to point out, Kara, is she on the screen? Can you see her by chance? Yes, no? Okay, she'll be coming hopefully on the screen very soon. And I want to thank her for her generosity and kindness. She's not feeling well today, so instead of joining us here today, she's joining us by Zoom. Technology, isn't it wonderful when it works? So with that, in fear of these amazing individuals, talented individuals, being so humble to not share their career journeys with you, I've decided to share a little bit about them, and then hopefully during our conversation they will fill in the blanks. Callie, hopefully she's on. Actually, is she on now? Okay,
yeah,
wonderful.
I'm right here.
Wonderful. Welcome. Hope you're feeling better. And again, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Wonderful. So Callie Shoemaker is co-founder, master distiller, As Above, So Below. Callie began her career in craft spirits in 2009 with Stranahan's Colorado Whiskey. As she worked her way up, she immersed herself in all aspects of the spirits production process, from grain selection through fermentation, distillation, maturation, blending, and bottling. There's a lot that goes in those bottles. Callie fell in love with the process of crafting spirits from unique ingredients and the magic that unfolds. In 2014, Callie left Stranahan's to take the helm at Hangar One Distillery. It is here where she partnered with farmers, winemakers, coopers, and scientists from across the country in an effort to create truly special spirits like Fog Point, vodka distilled from wine and cut to bottling proof with water collected from San Francisco fog. Wow. I know, amazing, right? She is now realizing her dream and living in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So Callie, first I'm just gonna ask you real quick, what is behind the name of As Above, So Below?
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. You know, distilling is something that was invented by alchemists, and so we're very inspired by alchemy and alchemical texts. And a famous poem from the Emerald Tablets, they call them, starts with "As above, so below," or "As within, so about," and I'm sorry, "As within, so without." And it's a alchemy-based poem that sort of describes a reflection of ourselves in the divine. And I think that, you know, things like sharing a meal or joining our community to enjoy some spirits is a great example of how we can reflect tiny moments in our bigger community. And As Above, So Below is how we communicate that.
Fascinating. Thank you for sharing. Adam, welcome. Adam is founder and CEO Wave On Health. As an athletic trainer and entrepreneur, Adam is focused on progressing the profession to new heights while providing the athletic trainer with tools and resources to be successful. His work experience at Stanford University for the U.S. ski team and at the London Olympics provided great insight for integrating athletic training into the global healthcare system. He holds a BA in athletic training from New Mexico State University and a Master of Arts in Human Performance from excuse me, San Jose State University. So, Adam, I understand that your spouse is also a small business owner. And I'd like to know, or we would like to know, what it's like to have both of you small business owners under one roof, one household.
That's a very interesting question. I have to think about it so I don't put myself into a difficult situation in the future. I'm just kidding. We really push each other. We support each other. She was a practicing dentist in town, and then because of some health issues, she had to sell her practice, retire from clinical dentistry. But she's been through a lot of different trainings to enhance employee morale, grow her small business. So we're actually in a unique situation that I've pulled her into my real early startup. We're pioneering athletic health. No one's doing it. We're first to market, to help me understand employee morale, a little bit of financial metrics. So we're kind of now turning my business into the real family business. And then we also own a med spa in town, so we can't get away from it. That kind of entrepreneurial spirit and bug and putting ourselves in difficult situations, but we're enjoying the time together. Appreciate the question.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. Richard Van Ness, goes by Rick, co-founder of Wooscot. Rick has over 15 years of experience in healthcare, with numerous peer-reviewed articles and presentations showcasing his expertise in linking laboratory results to outcomes, advancing value-based care in the ancillary space. As a co-founder of Wooscot, an automation artificial intelligence company, his focus entails improving revenue cycles in combination with value-based care strategies. Previously, Rick held a leadership role at TriCore Reference Laboratories, which I think many of us here are very familiar with. Rick also earned his degrees from the Masters of Science in Pharmaceutical Sciences from the University of New Mexico and a Bachelor of Science in Occupational Health from New Mexico State University. So we can say you're both a Lobo and an Aggie, right? I also understand that both you and Adam went to school together. Okay, so New Mexico is producing lots of amazing individuals. So my very first question is a question for all of you. The title of this summit, New Mexico, a national leader in entrepreneurship. In your opinion, do you agree or disagree, and why? And Kara, I'm gonna ask you to respond to that first, please.
Yeah, I mean, I think that New Mexico is a place that is full of opportunities for entrepreneurs. There's quite a few unexplored sort of industries or industries that are, you know, new and starting. And for us in craft distilling, that's part of the reason why we've opened our business here. You know, craft distilling is something that's new for New Mexico as of 2011. And the legislative environment is very friendly to us as entrepreneurs in that industry. And so I do think New Mexico offers a lot of opportunity and a lot of space for entrepreneurs to innovate and sort of explore.
Rick?
Thanks, Maria. Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think it alludes to a lot of what President Stokes talked about, which is partnerships and collaborations. I mean, when you look in this room, there's 200 registrants for this conference. All of you are interested in how to help and assist small businesses. And I think that's the key to New Mexico is although we are, far apart from each other, we are close to heart. So when Stokes talks about grants, when CNM talks about, entrepreneurial opportunities to, hire their graduates and that stuff, that's huge that we take advantage of. And I think that's really unique in New Mexico, and it's something we're going to relish in.
Thank you. Adam?
I will agree with a small caveat that if you are in the industries that know how to scale, replicate, duplicate, I think that entrepreneurial opportunity exists. If you're really innovative and bringing a new product to market, that's kind of where the challenge exists. So to both the other panelists and their opinion of partnerships in the previous group, partnerships are key, but then it extends into if they understand how the partnership can be successful, that's the challenges that I've been facing. So the answer is 100% yes. The entrepreneurial spirit is alive, but we need to get a little bit more broad in the industries that we're supporting.
Thank you. I think it's pretty easy for me to say that entrepreneurs are an interesting breed. So tell us what made you decide to get into the particular industries that you're currently involved in, and what are the risks that you have taken, and what risks do you believe you will continue to take? And Adam, I'll go ahead and start with you.
I'll do a little bit of historical perspective. So I grew up in Angel Fire. So I'm a true New Mexican, went to NMSU for athletic training. And then I worked at Stanford and I worked with the US ski team as an athletic trainer. So just growing up in an athletic, healthy environment led to that profession. And then when I realized there's way more that our profession can do, I just kind of realized, hey, let's be that pioneer and scale it and grow it. So a lot of it just comes from personal experience, knowing the pain points of our profession, knowing the pain points of sports injuries. It's a $33 billion problem right now across the country. So we're creating that solution, and we're kind of the intersection of that opportunity.
Sure. Thanks, Maria. I'd love that question for you too, after, you're very humble about your resume. I know for me, when I got out of grad school, the first company I worked for was in artificial intelligence. They were creating a new business line, and I was able to learn as well as help them do that. And then to your point with Tricor, I helped them diversify, get into a new business. And then finally, two friends that I had were just like, well, why can't we do this? Like, why don't we give this a shot? So I think to allude to some of the risks that you mentioned, yeah, we just hired our 8th person this week, and you're thinking to yourself, can I think far out enough that this person will be sustainable and we've got enough work for them and we can assure that we can have them forever? Yeah, there's a lot of risks associated with that. I know Adam is actually being very humble about the risks he's taking. He's been at it for just the grind like you wouldn't believe. But for us, yeah, it's a risk. It's scary, but based on my history and pompously my experience, I believe we can do it.
Thank you. Callie, please share with us.
Yeah, I got into craft spirits kind of by accident. I actually have a degree in fine art. But I grew up in Denver where craft beer was really sort of exploding, especially when I was in school. And I thought it was really fascinating, all of the sort of like chemistry and science that went into creating something that people could really come together over. I love the idea of beer and spirits and wine as a vehicle to talk about things like agriculture and community. And so, as I started working at a craft beer bar attached to a distillery and thought the distillery was the coolest place ever, and got hired by accident to do tours, and sort of just worked my way up and fell in love with this industry. And after being in a distillery that was acquired by a multinational corporation and working with that corporation for over a decade, I thought, if I'm going to work this hard, I'd like to work really hard for myself. The risks that come along with that are, shoving off and getting rid of that nice corporate paycheck and all those things, which I'm sure many of you entrepreneurs can I guess relate with. But our industry is constantly changing, and so I feel like there's just always some amount of risk just in the changing market conditions and changing consumer demands that we're experiencing all the time.
Well, we are happy you're realizing your dream here in New Mexico. So thank you for contributing to our community. Let's see, my next question, what is the biggest challenge facing you as a small business owner? Rick.
You put right on the spot.
It's like, well, I didn't have time to think about that one, sorry.
I think Adam unpacked it a little bit, which is, conveying how you're different. Revenue cycle management. There are so many companies in that space. We have competitors. You could just throw a stone out the window right now that are in that space. So I think to Adam's point is getting the message across of what exactly our specific trait is, that and how you will benefit from that. I think the indigenous companies owners that stood up here, I think CC was one that kind of mentioned, what is my message? How can I get it quick to that customer? And how can I get it resonation that they're going to want to do business with me? I think that's the hardest piece, is trying to convey your differentiation.
Oh, a big challenge is the traditional startup, right? Team, resources, message, everything that Rick was highlighting. And then it's also the demographic of who is local. Everyone I work with is all over the country. I have the same message in person as I do on numerous Zoom calls. So I would love to have a higher quality of person approach me. Hey, Adam, I love what you're doing. I would love to work with you. So I think it's that collaboration of new Mexicans to take an idea to become a unicorn. I think it's easy for companies to say, I'll work with you, but here's my cost structure. And that's really not an early stage startup mentality. So the challenge for me has been getting into real entrepreneurial startup mentality instead of like later stage growth companies. So hopefully the community can support each other to really expand the local market.
Great, thank you. Callie.
Yeah, I'll echo what the other panelists have both said. Managing resources as a startup is tough, as well as building a team, finding people with not only the skills to help, grow and scale your company, but the desire and the work ethic and the sort of excitement and buy-in is tough. Finding those people is always the best. But on the flip side of that, similar challenges is finding your consumer. A lot of times consumer education is a big piece of what we do. Folks want to know, what's different about what you're creating. Why is it important? And why is it something I should get behind? And so it's constantly learning how to create messages that resonate with the community and get people behind what we're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Technology certainly impacts all of our lives, and especially those of us who are entrepreneurs. And I specifically remember getting our very first fax machine. I know people on this panel probably have never even seen a fax machine, and I'm almost a little embarrassed to say that I had a fax machine. So you would stand around the fax machine and watch the faxes roll off onto the floor, like in amazement that we were getting information that fast. So my question for you all is, what effect has technology made in your business? And then how do you expect technology to impact your business in the future? And we'll go ahead and start with you, Adam.
Yeah, that's actually the core of our business model. What we're doing is we're leveraging technology and humans like myself to bring athletic training, athletic health services to the masses. So being a subject matter expert founder, I understand athletic training. I know sports. I know collegiate athletics. I know professional sports. My big challenge has been finding that technical co-founder or technical expertise to bring this vision to life. But we have strategic partnerships all over the country that love what we're doing. I talk with other CEOs, other VPs of business development, and they realize that we open up a new sales channel for them. So everything we do is about how to scale, how to improve efficiency. And the only way to do that in today's world is actually through technology. So we're a combination of AI, a combination of efficiency, and then a combination of virtual communication features. So technology is the core of what we're doing.
Amazing. Rick.
Thanks, Maria. For us, so to give some background on what we do is revenue cycle management. So our client will say, I think I'm not getting paid enough from the insurance companies. And so what we try to do is we do some experimentation. Well, if we do A, B, and C, do you get paid better? And if they do, we code a robot and we carpet bomb the payer and get our client a lot of money. The technology we use is always going to change for that. How you code robots, how you do artificial intelligence is just going to, it's in a rapid growth stage right now. So for me, because there's just a lot on my plate as a leader, I make it important to, like Adam alluded to, partnerships. So meeting with the university to say, what are the professors creating now? What are they getting grants on that they hope to create in the next 5 years? Because I want to learn from that to see if it benefits us. Partnerships with like CNM to say, okay, your boot camp, I need people that are going to be able to do this specific skill and how they can advance that skill, because that's what my company is going to stand to benefit from. So I think it's a combination of broadly reading things and trying to stay up to date, but more importantly, just learning from when you attend summits like this to say, this is the next technology that's being spun out of UNM, and how can it benefit myself selfishly?
Thank you. Callie, tell us how technology impacts your business and what you see in the future.
It's funny. I think we're the least technical of the group on the panel. We're running steam-powered stills to make spirits, but technology has an impact on, every aspect of consumer interaction. For us, mainly the ability to sell our spirits to people online and meet them where they're at on their phones. This idea that we can be in people's social media feeds and they can click a button and get our spirits delivered to their door is very new. And oftentimes technology is moving quite a bit faster than legislation. And so there's quite a few states where we still can't sell and places where we can't meet people, even though we can through the internet. The regulations in their state don't allow us to have those interactions. And so, for us, technology is more where we're meeting our consumers than it does impact how our business runs on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you. You mentioned how legislation may not be keeping up with technology. So tell us a little bit about, all of you, how maybe universities and government, particularly state of New Mexico, what kind of things can we be doing collectively to impact your business the most? Callie, can I start with you, even though you just finished?
Yeah, absolutely. The legislative environment and the educational environment of New Mexico is the reason why we've started our business here. When you look at all of the states in the country and the different aspects of what distillers are allowed to do, New Mexico offers us the most opportunities to, connect with our consumers. We're allowed to do things like have a tasting room where we can pour cocktails and sell bottles. That's not legal in all states. We're allowed to distribute our own product within the state. And the New Mexico sort of legislative environment is very collaborative with our business, which is super helpful. On the flip side, when we talk about universities, this is one of the only states that has a brewing and distilling program. So we're seeing, for the first time, honestly, in my career, I have a labor pool to pull from of fresh graduates from a program that has been designed specifically to educate people in our industry. And so I'm grateful to have New Mexico sort of on the cutting edge of that.
Thank you. Rick.
Sure. So for me, it's twofold. So I think your question was, the legislation and university can keep up with the technological advancements and.
Yes, or how can universities and how can state government
Okay.
be there for you in your business?
Okay. Got you. Okay. For me, when it comes to, public and the government, the SBA stuff that's out there from the Mexico Econ Development Department is huge, right? The ability to test a technology with a Sandian or someone that's so advanced beyond my skill set is remarkable. It's very helpful. And, grants that help cover that cost to create that partnership are huge. Public funds like that allow me to hire someone new straight out of school that will offset some of those costs. So we literally just hired our first C&M grad in December. And C&M had the ability to offset the cost by 40% over the next 6 months. Was like, this is a no-brainer. Like, we got to do this. And so things like that are just very, very helpful. I think summits like this, again, that Lisa leads here at Rainforest, when you guys tell us what is happening at the university, what you're researching, what Sandia is working on, what AFRL is doing, just allows us to learn about where our grants and funds going that's advanced research. And again, how can I tailor that to our company's needs?
Yeah, Rick made some great points. And in addition, if we talk about the legislative environment, we all know New Mexico is very rural and there's a underserved healthcare provider population in the state. We are addressing athletic health. So don't just think athletes, think about anyone who is active. And if we're bringing virtual athletic health care to an individual, that's a way to decrease the stress on the healthcare system. So if anyone is connected to particular grants, if anyone is connected to particular opportunities, please come and talk to me. And then in the same fashion, think about all the educational kind of programs across the state, from Eastern, Western, UNM, NMSU. How can we start to give these students an opportunity to do research? We can leverage that data to show value-based outcomes, cost savings in the healthcare system. And then we're really growing not just our business model, but we're really revolutionizing the way people are taking care of their own health. But it's just having those partnerships and it's having those conversations. So like I said, we're looking at New Mexico as hundreds of elite athletes travel here all the time for the climate, for the altitude, for the resources. It's not just about healthcare and tourism. It's about, let's really kind of change the paradigm of how the state works together. So I'd love to talk to anyone in either the university sector or educational sector, or then the public-private grant sector.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So kind of along the same line, what are the most critical changes that you believe we here in New Mexico must make to face the future of small business effectively?
I'll go first because kind of Rick alluded to it. I've been doing this a long time. And as a real subject matter expert founder, I am really, really passionate about the term founder. A founder is someone that found the problem and created the solution. I have a master's in athletic training. I don't have an MBA. I haven't managed $1 million or $100 million budget. I haven't managed 150 employees. By default, I'm becoming that CEO. So we see a lot of the technology that comes out of Sandia and people say, hey, I'll be your CEO or I'll be your marketing director. I think that also has to happen with outside biotech, outside Sandia Lab type industries. And that's just a collaboration, and that will really allow more businesses to come out of New Mexico. So if you're a marketing expert, if you're a legal expert, go find someone that has a good idea and then create that a team that is then investable, which will then put more companies on the map in New Mexico because we'll be growing that economic base from within. That's my feedback.
Thank you. Rick?
Sure. So for me, I think like the talent is immense here in New Mexico, but I think it's merging those two talents. So an example for us is, okay, UNM is graduating some of the best artificial intelligence grads here in my opinion, the country. Having that skill set to then work with a computer science grad. So for us, it's artificial intelligence learning from someone who's adjusting a claim to get my client paid. The moment someone manually touches that claim and fixes it, the artificial intelligence can learn from that, then feed the computer science bot that then automatically starts working. In other words, I've got great specificity, I can't say it, and sensitivity here, but I need something to act on that. So merging computer science with artificial intelligence would be immensely helpful for us. But that for me is kind of the biggest thing is like, we've got great talent coming here, but merging the two together to then advance and utilize those skill sets is going to be crucial for us.
Thank you. And I think you both alluded to that. And I think it's with these type of interactions and summits that we can gain those connections. Thank you. Callie, give us your thoughts.
Oh, I would echo what the other panelists said. You know, there's so many great people doing great things here in our community, and finding ways for us to connect and work together is key. You know, it's when we first started, it was really tough for us to find supporting vendors, you know, great accountants, great attorneys that didn't have full caseloads that we could work with. And over time, you know, we've built our community and we work with some really fantastic people, and continuing to find those other businesses, the talent in the market, and just other folks to work with to continue to elevate what we're doing and what they're doing together is key. And so, you know, I'm grateful for opportunities like today to do that networking and to continue to build those connections.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations to all of you for building your communities. And it seems like it's an ongoing process, day by day, bit by bit, person by person. That's kind of how we build.
Maria, if I can interrupt you,
Sure.
let me ask you, I mean, to your point, you really built the community. You had 40 years.
I get it.
Yeah, like what are your thoughts on that question of like what can the state do to further advance small businesses?
I'm looking at Stacy over there. Stacy, do you have the answer to that question? Just help me out here, would you? No. Yeah. So I think to your point and to your point, it's all about making connections and it's all about relationships. We're really a relationship type of state where I think in order for us to be successful, it's really the people that we bring into our organizations, the associations, the relationships we make. And I think that has just been key to how I built my businesses. And it's the talent and the time put into that and the relationships, not only within my organization, but to my other stakeholders outside. And there's lots of stakeholders. And I think you need to recognize who those stakeholders are and how you build that. And, you know, sometimes they're successes and sometimes they're just not. You know, you're going to fall down a few times. You've got to be willing to just get back up. And Gina's smiling over there. I don't think she's ever fallen down. But anyway, it's from those moments that you really learn and you learn to build from. And so for me, it's just really exciting to see so many entrepreneurs here in the audience as well as you all here. But I think it's great hope for New Mexico. But thank you for asking me a question. So do you all recall a time of where you wish that your industry or the type of business that you're in had done something differently? And if so, how would you change that? And I'm going to ask Callie that first because I can just tell she wants to answer that question first.
My industry is experiencing some weird stuff right now. The pandemic, as I'm sure is the case with many other industries, really kind of shook up what consumers are looking for and what we're doing. And so we have a lot of things at play. We have changes in how people are purchasing goods, which we see a lot. Previously it was sort of rule that you would build a brand by making sure that your spirits were in bars and restaurants, and bartenders would suggest them, people would try them for the first time, and then they'd go to the liquor store. That's not the case anymore. Sometimes people are learning about things at stores, and more often than not, they're learning about things online. So we're seeing a move there. But also sort of in this post-pandemic environment, restaurant and spending out in the world, it just isn't the same as it used to be. And we're seeing more and more people trending to not drinking spirits as much. And so, or alcohol in general, cannabis is rising, and so is a sobriety movement. And with that's coming some negative messaging around alcohol. And while that's definitely something that is important, right? We want to make sure people are making healthy choices. I do think there's more positive conversations about, making spirits, making wine, making beer that come along with how that supports our agricultural industry and brings cultural traditions to the table, and things like that we could be focusing on more as an industry than focusing on the negativity of potentially losing our consumers to other industries and sort of the negative or the harm that can come from the products that we make. And so I sometimes wish that, our industry would react to these challenges in ways of, centering the conversation on what it is that we do that's positive, rather than sort of just always trying to fight any sort of like negative conversations or press that come along with making booze.
Thank you. Adam.
I really appreciate the question, and I'm going to kind of pull what you asked Kaylee at the first question, how we came up with our name, because that ties into how we're doing something different. If you watch a sporting event, from a high school soccer game to the NFL, it's the playoffs, to the Olympics, if an athlete goes down on the playing surface, it's actually the athletic trainers that are waved on. It's not physical therapists, it's not orthopedic surgeons, it's actually my profession. So for over 70 years, we've provided a ton of value in person to athletes within high school, college, professional sports. So we're very segmented within that setting. The challenges my profession face, we're now a master's degree, which changes the perception of what an athletic trainer wants to do. We don't do grad assistant positions anymore, which means colleges don't get cheap labor. We want to have a better work-life balance. We want to make more money. So at the high school level, there's a 42% open job market. 1/3 of the high schools don't have athletic trainers. And at the college setting, there's a 48% turnover because these athletic trainers are putting their hands up saying, we're not going to work those 80 hours a week. We want to make more money. We're going to go work for Amazon. We'll work for Boeing. Maybe we'll go become a physical therapist. But if we watch any sports right now, there's more athletes now than ever before. Name, image, likeness, NIL, the transfer portal. Sports are on the rise, but the ability to manage those athletes is on the decrease. And if you go lower and you talk about club athletes, how many of you have kids and now sports are year round? That's causing this $33 billion sports injury expense. And I'm looking at the opportunity, well, let's just connect the two. There's athletic trainers that want to improve work-life balance. They want to make more money. They want to help athletes, and these athletes just need to have that connectivity. Well, let's just leverage technology to connect the two. So there's a huge, huge opportunity that we're presenting. And some of the groups we're talking to from like the NAIA, a lot of their colleges are experiencing the problem, and there's not a solution, but their states have hundreds of athletic trainers that want to get paid to do it. So that's kind of the intersection of our overall business model, but it's based on the problems our profession has been facing for multiple years.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, would you also say it's related to sort of the healthcare problems, right? Like, I can't go to a sports med doc unless I see my PCP first. And I think for everyone to understand, like, that referral basis makes it really hard for me. I'm not an elite athlete, my friend, I'll tell you. But to your point, you're offering a service for me. Like getting off the treadmill this morning and I sprained my ankle, it just would be awesome to be like, look, I know I sprained it. I just want to know what the 6 weeks look like for me.
So,
That's something you're pivoting
Rick
on
is
too,
hitting
right?
it on the head. All people want access to advice and support. And we've been doing this for elite athletes forever. Talk to us. That's kind of the tier 1, tier 2. We can have AI that's really tier 1 to give you stuff Rick could do this morning. Tier 2 is you talk with us. We know what to do. Tier 3 is navigating the healthcare system. Hey, I got the best physical therapist, the best orthopedic surgeon. They're the lower leg specialist in town. I'll get you in quickly. Instead of what we all do, which is the labyrinth of healthcare, urgent care, emergency room, go to see your PCP, and then you might get a referral to a specialist in 6 to 8 weeks. But by then, your event is over. You literally missed the window, and then you're starting all over, and it's having that huge healthcare cost.
Cool. And if to jump in, and I'm jumping in on you there, my friend, but I'll unpack kind of what Kaylee was mentioned too, was the negative perception of the industry. So healthcare has got this negative perception. There was a huge event a couple of weeks ago, and now this huge company is under fire for denying claims. To unpack a very granular moment for one of our clients is, hey, I'm getting denied 80% of the time when I file this claim for a toxicology test. And their initial assumption was, we're not under contract with this payer. That's why they're denying us. Broke down the data and said, like, you're not getting denied for out of network. You're not getting denied for non-covered provider. You're getting denied for medical records. So the payer is telling you, I don't know why this person needs this test. And then our job, what we came in to do was experiment. Well, what medical record is this payer asking for? Because the code isn't going to tell you, if you give me the clinical notes, we'll pay you. No, we just started experimenting. And once we figured out the payer would pay full freight if they got the lab result, the sample label, and the requisition, they'll pay full freight. So we'll just code a robot, go back and forth, appeal those 5,000 claims. Our client gets $300,000 in one night. So the negative perception of the industry is what we're fighting is, gosh, the payer is such a nuisance and a barrier to healthcare. No, they're just as curious as we are as to why we needed that test, why we needed that treatment.
Thank you all. I actually have one last question. Hopefully, I have a couple of minutes for 1 or 2 questions from the audience because I can tell you have 1 or 2. What is one piece of practical, and I'm going to emphasize practical, advice you would give to someone starting their own business? And by practical, I mean, make sure you get 8 hours sleep at night, that kind of practical. So, Kaylee, can we start with you, please?
Yeah, I would say invest in you and your health and your, personal resilience. Owning a business, as we've all talked about, and starting something new is not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of work. It's sometimes long, thankless days. I joke that it's the agony and the ecstasy. You can have the best news and the worst news within a couple hours. And it's easy to get lost in just pushing and hustling and working hard, and to forget to do simple things like, exercise and eat well and get some sleep. But those things really do go a long way towards creating resilience so that you can withstand sort of those challenges and all that excitement all at once, and gives you a good baseline from which to become a better leader to build a stronger team.
Thank you. Thank you. Rick.
Oh, sure. For me, it's be willing to step outside your comfort zone. If you believe you have something, just test it a little bit. Like, to your point, life and work balance, that is tricky, and that's always going to be tricky, personal as well as professional. It's always going to be tricky. So just try to step outside and just try it. I was literally on the phone with someone this week who was like, I believe this is something. It's like, well, if you have one person that also believes it, you have a customer that's saying, I like that. How can you do a small use case to test it? And if you get the results you want, great. You know it. You're ready to go all in. If you don't, you learn something. So for me, it's step out of your comfort zone, be willing to learn, and give it a shot.
Absolutely. Adam.
Yeah, ditto both of those. And then I say this on a daily basis. I would rather have a piece of something than 100% of nothing. So the scarcity mindset doesn't work. It's who can we work with? How can we collaborate? How can we partner? And then the greater whole is going to allow more people to benefit. So if you are a founder and you're starting something from scratch, don't think about, I got to own 100% of it, or I don't want to get investors. If you get the right partner and they really help it scale, that's the best way to move forward without all the struggle that we're all highlighting up here.
Thank you. I appreciate all of your comments. I think that I would always tell my staff over the years and even my children, a day without learning is a day without living. So I have learned so much from all of you this morning. So thank you very much. I want to kind of open it up to the audience. Do we have a question or questions for our fabulous panel guest here today? Yes, no? Yes, no? Okay, not enough coffee this morning, I guess. You all just were so great. You answered everything they ever wanted to know. But go ahead, additional comments or anything you feel like we've left out. I'll kind of leave it open to you all.
No, I love this comment.
Oh, I'm
There's just
sorry, there is a
unpack-
question.
There is.
Go ahead, we'll let a question, then we'll come back to you, Rick. I'm sorry, there's a column here I can't see.
Hi, I move in front of all three of you.
Ah, there you
feel like
go.
I'm dancing
Hi.
around this pole. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
First off, thank you all four of you for your time this morning. I'm curious for the panelists, how do the three of you think about the potential repercussions or unseen things that your industries might be contributing to? I'm curious, how do you maybe minimize the downsides or the impacts of, you're running these AI algorithms and they do take up a lot of water. You're looking at, meeting these needs in the CPG space with spirits. How do you consider the potential externalities that we might not be thinking right now as we're building these companies and building these services?
I'll give an example real quick. So I talk with athletic trainers like myself on a daily basis, and they range from high school athletic trainers all the way up to they've worked in the Olympics. And some of them literally feel we're replacing them, that we are eliminating them and technology is going to do it all. And my response to them is, you know who else thought that? The painters on the car manufacturing line, that if they didn't evolve and start to use technology to become a painter, they actually ran themselves out of a job. Technology is not going away, but what we're doing is leveraging technology to scale them. So to your point, it's really educating them on taking down their fear-based comment and really talking about opportunity and scaling their service to reach more people, and then their mind shift change, or their mindset changes significantly. So it's kind of understanding the cautionary tales before you get there, and then you can have an answer to what they think might be the problem of what we're doing.
Anybody else like to comment?
Sure. I mean, for me, I love that question. And for what I love is everyone's like, AI, healthcare is going to benefit from AI like crazy. Like, if artificial intelligence tells you you need a certain test, procedure, and then and then the doctor acts on that artificial intelligence, they're liable. That's a huge issue. In the billing world, it's like, I'm just going to learn when I get denied. I'm going to learn when that payer does something that makes the artificial intelligence shift. It doesn't cost me anything to just keep having that AI learn and those bots figure it out. So I'm probably speaking very naivety. I'm sure I'm probably going to get slammed eventually for something. But right now, for me, it's just, we're just going to keep learning.
Callie, would you like to comment?
Yeah, I think when looking at the negative impacts of anything that you're doing is crucial. Part of why it was important to me to start my own brand is because I see a lot of things in sort of consumer packaged goods and spirits specifically that I don't like. I think that transparency in ingredients isn't something that the alcohol industry is known for. I think that creating regionality and talking about the unique agricultural aspects of our location and the botanicals that grow near us and what's important about our environment. Those are all ways that we as a company can participate in our community to sort of mitigate some of the negativity that we could see, in our industry as a whole. By starting something small and getting to choose how we represent in the world, I think it gives us an opportunity to do things in a way that we feel is participating positively in our community and our environment, and to offer sort of a different perspective. We want people to know what ingredients we're using in our spirits. That's really important to us. We want to offer that transparency, and we want to use spirits as a way, people love to have a cocktail, people love to have drinks. And so I think using spirits as a way to talk about stuff like agriculture and our environment and sort of meet people where they're at is a way that we can, have a little bit of positive impact while we're trying to grow something special.
Thank you. I would like to close by, first of all, congratulating each and every one of you. You are all extremely impressive, and thank you for sharing your journeys. I don't know that everyone in this room realizes, for just these individuals and the other individuals on panels today, to take a couple hours out of their day in their work environments is a huge sacrifice and a great contribution to our community. So for that, I thank you and congratulate you. And so I know for me that I have great hope for the future of entrepreneurs here in New Mexico. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
I am totally impressed. You guys are doing amazing work.